All right. Always have to be hydrated. It is hot as a mug today. For those Americans out there, it's like 90 something here. For the Canadians, we are 30 plus. Was out at the track earlier, felt good. You can't see it because I'm very white, but I do actually have a little bit of color. So I'm feeling really good about that. Always wear your sunscreen, take care of your skin. But every now and then, let the skin fly, soak in the vitamin D, and have some fun. So today, what I want to do is talk a little bit about virtual dunk camp that's coming up and field some questions if you have questions about what to expect. Now, every year, and I'm going to be making a video about this with Coach Chase actually later on today. We'll post it likely tomorrow. But virtual dunk camp is really just an attempt at creating an experience for athletes that were interested in actual physical dunk camp, which is a yearly camp. It's a full week long in Salt Lake, just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. That was created by Andy Nicholson, or quote unquote over the hill dunker. And it features some of the world's best professional dunkers and coaches. We just happen to be kind of the staple for the jump training and the jump technique that's involved at the camp. And what we do is we spend that whole week implementing elements of jump technique with the campers to help them jump higher on the spot. So that's what I'm really excited about. Now, virtual dunk camp, right? Because we have to keep in mind that a virtual experience is going to be different than a physical experience, but we do have some pretty cool and unique advantages and some twists on things that I'm super excited about this year, which is going to be number one, you're going to be able to see a live jump breakdown be done by myself. It's all over Zoom, and we're going to share our screen, and we're going to take a look through our Coach's Eye app and show you the really important points of performance when it comes to a vertical jump, so that it helps you kind of establish the norm, right? Establish what it is you should be looking for in your own jump to help you optimize the strength and power that you have on board. And that's what that's all about. So we are going to be undertaking jump technique intervention within this virtual dunk camp. We're also going to be undertaking you're going to be able to meet and see all your favorite pro dunkers. So we have, Jordan Kilgannon's going to be there, John Clark, so Jay Clark the jumper, Isaiah Rivera, CJ Champion. We have Steven Selly. We have Dallin Finley. We have T-Dub, dunk legend. For those that don't know who T-Dub is, do yourself a huge favor and just type in T-Dub in the search bar in YouTube, and you watch one of the most explosive and phenomenal athletes do their thing. Hundreds and hundreds of videos, but this dude is an absolute specimen. He's a retired pro dunker, but still very athletic, but has a lot to lend in terms of experience in the game, especially within things like contests. So that's going to be a big part of that virtual camp experience, is going to be able to pick the brains of these really seasoned and matured athletes to be able to find out, what they're doing, really just ask any questions that have been on your mind about that. We'll be there as well. So if you have questions for myself and Coach Chase, you'll be able to hit those up and hit us up live with those, just like here, right? You can ask questions on the side, and I'll take a stab at those. But I wanted to really overview what virtual dunk camp is going to be. If anybody watching is interested in joining virtual dunk camp, it's June 22nd, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 3-hour virtual camp where you'll be able to take part in a virtual dunk contest, which is really cool, where you'll be able to submit your dunks to us prior to camp. They're going to be judged by the pros, and then the top, I believe, 16 or 20 dunks will be voted on live at camp. The other ones will be played in a highlight clip. So it's really exciting. Then you get to watch your favorite pro dunkers go head to head in a game of dunk, or we call dunk horse, but instead of spelling horse, you spell dunk. And that'll be done live as well. So you're going to be able to see these dunkers go to work right on live on the actual camp website. So super excited about that. The Dunk Camp has been responsible for hundreds of people and in making improvements in their vertical jump. I'm very proud to say that in the 2 years that I've physically been at camp, which it's going on its third year of being around. First year, we helped 88% of the athletes improve their vertical jump within the 4-day period of time with jump technique intervention. The second go around, so last year, it was 96% of the athletes improved their jump through jump technique. And this isn't just brand new jumpers that we helped improve. This was all the way up to the elite of the elite. So I was very excited to see the power of technique, the power of being in a really energy-rich atmosphere, and what that will do for an athlete in terms of performance, and also just being able to absorb and soak in all that information. So very, very, very powerful experience. Definitely worth the investment in yourself. The cost for camp is $99. If you are already registered for this year's Dunk Camp, there is some discounts there for you, and you will have been made known about those discounts already. Questions? Does anybody have any questions? I know we don't have a ton of people on here right now. That's okay. If you're on here, don't run away. You for sure can ask your questions. After yesterday's live, which was really, really popular, we had a bunch of questions fall into the comment section below, and those have all been answered. So you rest assured when you ask your question, it will get answered at some point. And I really appreciate you taking your time to do that with us. So if we don't have any questions right now, I'm not necessarily going to stay on here too much longer, just because we're not really getting much activity. But you can most definitely comment below if you're interested in joining the camp, and I'll go ahead and I'll send you that link, or actually we'll put the link in the description below this live session, so that you can jump over and take advantage of that. You'll want to be there. You'll want to be there, most definitely, because you're going to see a lot of really cool clips from camp, and I'd rather you be there to be able to experience those in person. Moby Dick, who do you think is the best dunker of all time? I think Jordan Kilgannon has contributed more to the dunk world as a pro dunker than anybody else. I believe that Vince Carter and Michael Jordan have contributed the most to the dunk world in terms of NBA players, just with their influence over people wanting to be athletes that could jump and dunk really well. But yeah, I'd have to say that all around the best dunker of all time, the deepest bag, the best athlete, the most creative, will definitely have to go to my man Jordan Kilgannon, fellow Canadian, friend of mine, and I think very, very hard to find people that would disagree with that argument. That's a good question. That's a good question. All right. As you can see here, been working on a puzzle. Quarantine's all about staying busy, and we've been staying busy with a puzzle. Beach scene, pretty crazy, pretty cool. But we try to keep ourselves occupied. I hope everybody is faring well with quarantine / isolation, whatever you're calling it, and not rushing out now that people are kind of like the gates have been opened. I worry, and a lot of people worry, and really you're entitled to your own opinion, but I worry about things being opened up too quick, and then we flare up into another wave of this stuff. So I'm a 1-foot jumper. What is your best tip to increase my 1-foot jumping ability? I mean, the biggest tip about jumping is really just, become more obsessed with the process of jumping, right? The best jumpers in the world jump a lot. They take every advantage they can to jump. That doesn't mean like you jump a lot of reps. It means that you are constantly involved in that mindset. You are a person that takes every opportunity you have to jump. Okay, what jumpers in the room, right? They're the people that when they walk into a room, they don't look eye level. They're looking up to see what they can jump up and touch. And I think that's one of the things that rings true with all jumpers is that they just kind of eat, sleep, breathe jumping at all times. 1 foot is really a game of stability and being able to transition your speed appropriately. And 9 times out of 10, that's really slowing down your approach. I think a lot of athletes think faster is better. Faster is only better if you can control it. Sweden opened up pretty quickly and it didn't go that well, but their economy is pretty stable. Again, yes, Sven, it's one of those things where, to me, it's like, where's that balance, right? Like it's important that we keep our economies rich, but it's also important that we have people alive to contribute to the economy. So there's got to be a balance there, right? People first, I think, is most important. And I want nothing more than for everything to open back up, because even our jobs depend on our ability to be able to travel. And right now the border's closed. I can't cross the border to go fly out of Detroit to fly within the United States. I'm kind of landlocked here in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, working from my home garage gym and office, doing my best to contribute as much as possible through online. And we're doing a great job of staying consistent with our posts. For me, it's like, YouTube's a relatively new thing for Project Pure Athlete. We had a YouTube, but it wasn't posting on it very frequently. And over the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, have really been taking an opportunity to do things like almost daily uploads, and really saturating as much out there with content as we can. Now, I'll be honest, it's definitely harder to get traction on these posts on YouTube than it was to do on. What's up? You're already doing it, so that's my wife, just so you know. Say hi to the YouTube community. I'm keeping it. This is my son. He's on the monitor and he's sleeping, so I will keep an eye on him just in case I have to take off from here.
No, just send me a text if he wakes up.
I will send you a text if he wakes up. Okay. Can you please close the door? It's getting hot in here. Keep it closed. Come on. Your job is like the most dependent on being able to interact with people. As coaches, obviously there's a lot of coaching we can do remotely, right, through online, but there's no better experience than being there in person with an athlete and being able to really pull from those like in the moment opportunities. And we miss it, myself and Coach Chase. I know he's still kind of like remotely coaching a few athletes locally in Vegas. I'm doing the same thing out of here, but it's not the same. It really isn't the same. And we're super excited to be able to eventually get back into the swing of things. I'm having people inquire all the time about things like our PPA jump overhauls. If you haven't seen those posts recently, check them out because I've really taken some time to put those posts together. That's straight up like raw footage from our training sessions with jump technique with really high-end female volleyball players down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's going on a 5 or 6 part series. So that, I believe, is going to be tomorrow's post is part 4. The next day's post will be on virtual dunk camp. It'll be a conversation between myself and Coach Chase. We have things planned out for every day, and we're doing our best to keep them entertaining, educational, and no bullshit. That's my biggest problem with this like jump training world is there's so much bullshit out there. Sorry about that. Punch my microphone. There's too much bullshit and I can't stand it. Thanks. I love your videos and I've been doing workouts from your page. It helps me a lot. Moby Dick, appreciate your feedback. So glad it's been helping you out and we can't wait to see your progress. How much do genetics drive ultimately what an athlete can accomplish? From Michael. Michael, genetics definitely play a role, but they're really not the linchpin to success in terms of kind of athletic progression. For me, I think genetics are too often used as like a crutch for people, right? Like, oh, I'm not genetically tall or I'm not genetically this, so I'm not going to be good at something. And then what that does is it kind of puts a damper on your efforts. It almost acts as a bottleneck and prevents you from making decisions that would otherwise put you in a really, really good outcome. So for me, genetics do play a role for like the upper echelon of result and performance. But at the end of the day, nothing beats consistent work over time. For instance, Coach Chase, the other jump guy here at Project Pure Athlete, was not a very naturally talented athlete. He put in work and trained in the weight room. He trained on the basketball court, and he is one of the best basketball players I've ever seen, who did not play in the NBA. And he is a competitor, he is strong, and he is driven. So there's a lot. I mean, 48-inch vertical at his prime, still jumping in the 40s as a 35-year-old, and just a real specimen when it comes to work ethic. So doesn't like genetics play a role, but they're definitely not the be-all end-all. For myself, I was a fairly naturally good athlete, but definitely not a genetic, marvel like you'll see some of these people that are out there. I think it's really going to be, if you do have good genetics, don't lean on them as being the only thing. Really still put in that extra work so that you can become even better. I'm literally right now doing your home workout C from the Elite program. Oscars, that's awesome. We're getting a lot of really good feedback from our home Elite program, which is cool because it's body weight and resistance band, and that's it. And it's a very well programmed 8-week program that I'm getting people coming back after 1 week, 2 weeks saying, I'm already jumping higher. I feel stronger. It was built to improve the overall athlete. We use what's called a 360 approach to training here. So we're not jumping in and we're just saying, do 1 million plyometrics and get some stimulus and you could jump a little bit higher. What we want to do is help create resiliency in the body. It just means strength, right? So that when you layer on your vertical jump improvements, you don't lose those gains, right? You don't lose them over time. We want to build a vertical that stays around. And your efforts don't stop after 8 weeks. That 8-week program is a jumpstart. You can cycle back through the program or you can jump into something else, all puns intended, that we have here to offer at PPA. So awesome. Keep up the hard work, Oscars. You're doing awesome. Will you record stuff from Dunk Camp? I think people would like to maybe watch it back. So Flo, there will be segments or pieces released. Obviously, the entire camp won't be released because it's a paid experience, and that would be quite unfair to those that invested in themselves as athletes. I'd say if you're very interested in it, do your best to save up a few bucks over the next little while. We still have about a month till it goes off, and invest in yourself. That's the big thing about anything that costs money. We are in the business of charging for programs and services, and every now and then we get athletes that go, why are you charging for this? And why isn't it free? Well, bottom line is, at the end of the day, we've invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be at a point in our life where we are knowledgeable and can really depend on our skill set to be able to provide those programs. So why wouldn't we expect you to also invest a fraction, I'm talking a minuscule fraction of money, back into yourself as athletes? You know how many things I've purchased personally to develop and better myself, from certifications and workshops to professional development camps to sport camps to sport experiences. And I saved up that money. I'm not rich. I didn't come from a rich family by any means. I put in work, I worked, and I saved. And that's why I was able to be a fairly successful athlete, was I was invested. I was there for the long haul, and I put that work in. So if you're on the fence about the Dunk Camp, the virtual Dunk Camp experience, get off the fence, jump over the fence, land right in that page and sign up. And if you want that link, let me know. I will email. Actually, I'm going to post the link in this live when it's uploaded. It'll be posted in there. You can email me at projectpureathlete@gmail.com. I'll send it over to you, and you can sign yourself up. Now, you're getting a lot out of that experience. It's $99. The actual Dunk Camp, the physical Dunk Camp, is closer to $1,000, plus travel, plus accommodation. So this is awesome to be able to have this experience for $100. All right. I think it wouldn't be fair to make the videos free because of the value. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there will be people that can't afford the $100, but we understand that. And that's why segments will be released, things will be released, and there'll be many other opportunities. We plan here at Project Pure Athlete to be hosting, a seminars and workshops through Zoom that will be affordable. We'll open those up for all of you as well to be able to experience, come hang out with myself and Coach Chase, learn from us. We'll screen share with you. We'll show you a whole bunch of really cool training and technique options. And so we have stuff planned for down the road. So you're in the right place. If you're wanting to learn how to be a better athlete, how to jump higher, but do it the proper way, the no bullshit way where people are like, you just do this one secret exercise and you're going to like, fuck the secret exercises. Pardon my French. I swear, big deal. There's no secret. If someone tells you there's this, I'm looking like directly in the camera right now. If someone tells you there's a secret, they are bold-faced lying to you. There is no secret. The pros, the people you look up to, the only secret is hard work consistently over time. Would I love for there to be a secret? Of course, but there's not. I've been around for 16 years doing this. I've learned from some of the best people in the industry, and I've competed with some of the best athletes in the world. There is no secret. There's none. So I'm very emotional about that. Greetings from Germany. Greetings from Canada. I would say sprechen Sie English, and you would say obviously because you wrote it in English. I used to know a few things in my Name is Tyler. How do you say that? I need to know more German than this. My dad lived in Germany years back for like 4 or 5 years. And when I went there, I definitely learned a handful of things. I try my best when I go anywhere new language, learn something so I can at least be respectful. There's nothing that pisses me off more than an English, Canadian or American that goes into somewhere that's not English speaking and expects other people to speak English to them. I think that's ignorant. There we go. We got some conversations. All right. I am reading through some German. I'm sorry, Sven. I don't know what you're saying. I'm okay. Conversation of that is over. Is it reasonable to expect youth athletes, 14 to 16 years old, to see big increase in vertical jump or athleticism? That's from Michael. It's definitely reasonable to expect improvement in athletes from, 13, 14 and up. I think at that age, the important thing is really developing a routine of behaviors that help lead you down the road, right? Like, I don't think at 13, 14 years old, you need to be in like a super regimented training protocol, because what will happen is eventually you just burn out. You just get, it becomes like a chore. You have to enjoy. For me, I played sports and loved playing sports throughout my kind of teenage years. And I really didn't start training. Now, keep in mind, I'm 36 now. So when I was doing that, it was quite a few years ago, and sport performance has come a long way, even in the last 20 years. So, holy crap. 16 years old was 20 years ago. I just felt super old. I apologize for that moment, but I just felt really old. Do I look old? I feel like I don't look that old. Maybe I do. Who knows? But yeah, you can see increases in your vertical jumper athleticism simply from developing stability and strength that allows you to exert more speed and more power and transition more of it off the ground. I think like anything else, when you put in the work, you get the results. So absolutely. The reason I ask is how much is due to building strength foundation first as their bodies are growing. So, developing strength and resiliency as you grow is a great idea. I think there's still a very prevalent notion that training with weights stunts your growth, and that's just not the case. There are no conclusive studies to show that. So if you're on the fence about trying to work with resistance, don't worry about it. Just learn to move well first. If you're really young, learn to move well, learn to squat, learn to lunge, learn to brace, learn to push, learn to pull. And once you have those patterns and they're smooth and they're controlled, then you can start adding resistance and not chasing numbers. I think that's a huge piece of advice I can give to all of you is when you get into the gym, don't chase numbers. Don't go in every single time and try to lift more and more and more and more and do 1 rep maxes constantly. Like, we don't program any 1 rep maxes. Lotus goes 3. And the reason being is that there's no reason, unless you're a power lifter, to be lifting 1 rep maxes. The detriment versus reward, right? The risk to reward ratio, far too high. That's in my personal opinion and experience. And I used to, when I was younger, give my athletes like 1 rep maxes. And the amount of times I get an athlete that would, bottom out in a squat super heavy and hurt their lower back, or try to pull a deadlift and just, wreck their back because they're being reckless. It's not worth it anymore. We train a lot smarter now, and that's why we get really, really good results. That's why we're getting these success stories of 5 inches of vertical in a week, and I've never felt stronger even after 2 knee surgery. I'm getting these really cool responses from people that make me proud to be a coach. All right, I'm coming down here. I'm going to skip over a few. I apologize. A lot of German going on here. That's okay. Trained for 3 years and I did not get better. I can only touch the rim with the upper part of my palm. Listen, you're still in a small window of people. There are very few people in this world, when you extrapolate out to the amount of people and numbers we have, that can touch a basketball rim. I think the problem becomes is when you start comparing yourself to the top 1%, right? You're like, oh, look at that person can touch their head on the rim, or that person can do a 360 dunk. Those people are in the minority. So celebrate the results that you do have and don't have these expectations, right? We have to, I think, unravel our mindset every now and then from not being too too consumed with those expectations as athletes. Expectations can be toxic. They can lead to things like higher cortisol levels and stress levels in the body, which cause you to not progress as fast. You don't have to apologize, Sven. Don't apologize to me. I'm touching the rim right now. I've never consistently trained. Now due to Corona, I started, but gyms are closed, and now I injured myself just falling and had a cut in my shin. Heal up. That skin will heal. Be careful, though. I guess it's really about consistency, technique work, repetition, and getting stronger progressively. Flo, you hit the nail on the head with the biggest fucking hammer you could find. Great job with that one. It is really about consistency, prioritizing the way you move, putting in reps, and getting stronger over time. That's improvement. I think what we do is we spend so much time wrapped up in the only measure of success when doing jump training is if I'm jumping higher. Okay. It's like, I've been training for 2 months and I'm only jumping an inch higher, or I'm not jumping higher at all. So this isn't working. Bottom line is, if you're putting in work every day, you are getting better. You just might not be expressing your results in the vertical jump column. Your strength and stability is going up, but sometimes those need to go up to a point before the vertical jump bar goes up a little bit. Okay, not everybody progresses at the same speed, and that doesn't make you any better or worse than somebody. It makes you different. It makes you unique. It makes you human. Sven says, bro, you're pronouncing my name better than some Germans here. Sven, listen, words are my friend. I typically pride myself on my ability to pronunciate. That's why a lot of people go, man, you sound smart when you talk. It's not. I just like words. I just talk a lot. I like to coach and teach, and I value the language. I think if I could give my son any advice as he gets older and older, it's going to be really put stock and value in learning how to communicate well. It takes you very far in life. It takes you further, in my mind, in a lot of instances than things like even being more money, richer, smarter. Being able to communicate allows you to create opportunity. And as a result, it pays off in a lot of ways. Yes, of course I compare, but I have no results since I don't know 1.5 years. I've tried the VERT program from PJF, mostly no progress. Last 3 months, weights due to Corona. I think your name is either Jagors or Yegor. You got to let yourself off the hook. Okay. You have to pivot and keep moving. If jumping higher is important to you, you will not give up. You will learn from your experience. You will understand that you've been putting in work and getting better in other ways. You have to understand too, that when you do jump programs, that it's not just about the workouts. The workouts are a part of being an athlete, right? We know this. We've heard this over and over again. Nutrition, what you fuel your body with, super important, right? You can't out-train shit food. If you're putting garbage into your body and expecting results, you're spinning your wheels. So we have to be fueling ourselves properly. Now, if you are wondering what types of foods to eat, we actually have a free vertical jump guide, a document, a 10-page document that's been available in every single one of the descriptions below our videos. You can click that link, put in your email, and you'll get sent a free 10-page guide. And there's like a PPA Jump Foods page. Gives you 10 different foods that are awesome for explosive athletes. Go there. But yeah, keep working, Jaggers. That's one of those things where it's going to take some time. If a program somewhere else isn't working, that's the cool part about training is you can pivot, try something else, but commit fully to what you do. Don't give up on it. It seems like you're definitely willing to put the work in. We just have to find something that really, really benefits your body. Nathan Rivera says, I'm 5'5" and I can touch the rim, but I feel more comfortable on 1 foot jumping rather than 2. Should I switch? Why not both? Why not both? I don't think as a jumper you should have to choose. I think it's really important as you creating a balanced jump body where you're able to jump off of multiple plants, 1 foot, 2 foot, both sides, creates more balance with the body, reduces compensation as an athlete, and over time reduces the likelihood of compensation-based injury, which I'm dealing with because when I was coming up, I didn't have a me to learn from. I became the me that I am now after I was the me that I was before, if that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, why not all of them? Is it worth switching from 1 foot power jumping to 1 foot speed jumping? Again, why not both? Just try both. What do you think about dunk balance with your plants? Flo, I think I just touched on that. So yeah. And then Nikki, hey, coach, I'm training for volleyball and recently started jump training. I was wondering if sprints or long distance has any value or detriment because I've been running to increase my endurance. Hey, Nikki, first off, thank you for being here. Secondly, let's touch on the sport of volleyball and the demands that we have there. Volleyball is generally a strength, endurance-based, as well as an explosive need to the sport. But strength endurance is important for volleyball because you typically play multiple matches and you're on the floor a lot and you're moving quite a bit. So doing some running, not a bad thing. That being said, if your goal is to jump as high as possible, then multiple distance runs are definitely contradictory to the energy systems in your body that produce your highest end outputs. But it's great for general conditioning in sport. So as a volleyball player, you might not necessarily be jumping the highest you possibly could because you're playing a sport that has jumping as part of it. So you can still kind of progress the jumping element while maintaining the conditioning that comes along with things like longer duration running. I would just modify the amount you're doing. Okay, like a run a week for some general aerobic capacity is fine as long as you're taking care of your body, right? Running is repetitive stress to the joint. Jumping is repetitive stress to the joint. You have to give your body a chance to recover. The tendons, the muscles, and the joints need a chance to breathe and relax. So sprinting, on the other hand, is a great method or a great protocol to have in your training because it's high end, it's fast, it's very reactive, and it charges up the nervous system. So I just recommend keeping the volume of any running you're doing to a lesser amount than you'd think and just really be invested in the efforts that you are doing. Flo says, so what I mean is focusing on one first and then balancing from the start. Posted the question before you talked about it. I think no matter where you are, you can just start to slowly introduce other elements of jumping into the equation. I think that's fair. Okay, we're to the end. I got all the way down these questions. We talked a lot about virtual dunk camp. We touched on a lot of things within kind of sport performance as always. I want to thank you again for being here with me. I hope that you enjoy these live Q&As. I'm a huge fan of them. It allows me to interact with you, learn you, and meet people from all over the world. So make sure that if you haven't already, subscribe here to Project Pure Athlete, share our content, help us build the channel because we are smaller than we need to be to affect change on a big level. We are dedicated, passionate coaches, and we love, love, love helping out. So take care, stay safe, and just be you because you're great.